A little-known Oxfordshire village has been left stunned by a brutal double slaying. Police searching the grounds of unhalf-bricking manor in the sleepy hamlet of Liege-under-Leith have uncovered a shallow grave containing 2 bodies. Police have yet to confirm their identities, but they are believed to be those of Lady Donald, wife of the Lord of the Manor, and Mattie Groves, her young lover.
Lady Donald came out and you could tell she was up to something because she was giving little Mattie the eye like. But then my mate heard her say that the husband was miles off looking after the livestock.
Well, this bloke came herring out of the church like a complete nutter, leapt over the hedge and ran past me, ranting about how he wasn't going to stand by while Lady Donald did the dirty on her husband. I thought he was going to run up the lane and take the bridge over the mill stream.
What did he do?
Well, he ran straight at the stream, ripped off his shirt and swam across, absolutely barking, mad as a balloon he was.
Terrible. We heard everything. I mean, like, the bedroom window was open. Lord Donald was going nuts. He was screaming, "Get up! Get up!" Then we heard Lord Donald scream, but then it was like, somebody had fallen down. Lord Donald starts screaming at his wife, then she screams. He calls for a servant to get rid of the bodies. It was like EastEnders.
Hi folks, hope you're doing well. Now, I know this is meant to be the vinyl community and therefore we're meant to show vinyl records, but today's video is purely CDs. Sorry. And as you'll have seen from the title of the video, this is related to the various CD box sets that have been released that are devoted to Fairport Convention and the associated musicians of that band. Fairport, as you probably all know, formed in London in 1967, and with their 4th album, Liege-and-Leith, in 1969, basically created the template for what was to become electric folk. They might not have been the first band that introduced electric instruments to traditional song, but with that album, that became the template for so many other bands in the future. Liege-and-Leith was voted the most influential folk album of all time in the BBC poll. Now, Fairport had 4 of the most important musicians in the genre that came through their ranks. First off, you had Ashley Tiger Hutchins, a founder member of the band, and probably was responsible for their, or mainly responsible for their going into traditional folk music. But his importance is not just with the formation of Fairport Convention, but following Liege-and-Leith, he left Fairport and set up Steel Eye Span, the other great electric folk band of the era. And he did 3 albums with them, and then went on to form the Albion Band in its various incarnations. Again, a massively influential band of the genre, probably the three most important in many respects. So, like as I said, Tiger Hutchins, probably the most influential musician in that genre. Next up, we had Dave Swarbrick, probably the major folk fiddler or violinist, however you want to class it, of his generation. Brilliant fiddle player. He joined Fairport full-time for the Legion Leaf album and remained with them up until their brief hiatus at the end of the 70s, and became possibly the leading figure in the band, and definitely the heart and soul of Fairport Convention during that period. Brilliant musician. Thirdly, we had Sandy Denny, probably one of the best vocalists and singer-songwriters around. She joined Fairport with their second album, What We Did on Our Holidays. She came from the folk tradition. She did 3 albums with the band, left after Legion Leaf to form Fotheringay, another brilliant electric folk band, and then went on to a solo career. She did rejoin Fairport briefly in the mid-70s, about 1974, when she did one studio album and one live album. This is a period when her husband at the time, Trevor Lucas, had already joined Fairport. Sandy's sadly no longer with us. And fourthly, we have the great Richard Thompson, not only a brilliant songwriter, but probably one of the best guitarists that this country has produced. He was a founder member of Fairport, did 5 albums with them. He did the first album after Legion Leaf, Full House, and then left for a solo career, and a career that included a number of brilliant albums with his then wife, Linda Thompson. I'm not going to go through all the various members that Fairport have had over the years. There's too many. But I think there are 2 others that need mentioning, and that is Simon Nicol, the guitarist, who is another founder member of the band, and he's still with them to this day. He did briefly leave in the 70s for a short period, but came back not long after. And there is Dave Pegg, the bassist, only the second bassist that Fairport ever had. He joined for the Full House album after Ashley had left. And again, since then he's been in the band up until the present day. Those 2 guys are responsible really for the fact that Fairport is still an ongoing band and force in the folk tradition. So that's enough history. You know it all anyway. Let's see what box sets I've got. First up, we have this box set, Fairport Unconventional. Now, this was released in 2002 to celebrate the 35th anniversary of the band, and was released by the Free Reed label, which is a record label out of Belper and Derbyshire here in the UK. An excellent label. They're still going today, but I think mainly just as a mail order company. I don't think they've released anything new in 10 years. But they did release a number of these box sets, which you're going to see here, which are absolutely brilliant. Now, these box sets are not designed really as an introduction to the band, because they're more aimed at the devoted and rabid follower, because these feature rare tracks, demos, alternative takes, radio and TV sessions, and a ton of live tracks. Let's have a look at what's in it. First up, don't know really why this is in here really, but this is a program for a concert at the Apollo Theatre, Oxford, in May 2001 to celebrate the career of Martin Carthy, with bands like Fairport, Martin Carthy himself, Ashley Hutchins, Steel Ice Band, Gabriel Yacoub from Malicorn, John Kirkpatrick. But it was sort of put together, and Fairport were basically the hosts, so you get a program in here. Free Read did a similar box set to this for Martin Carthy, which is well worth having. Next up, we have a booklet devoted to the Croppery Festival, which started in, I think, 1977, and is still going to this day, and has probably become the biggest folk festival in the country after maybe the Cambridge Folk Festival. So you get a nice booklet that goes through year by year, detailing each of the festivals. Bear with me. We then have a wonderful peat frame. Oops, get it the right way around. Peat frame family tree of the band. You can see how extensive that is. Excellent. And on the other side, you get Sergeant Cropper's Fairport Band, with a take on the, obviously, Sergeant Pepper's cover, with all the various members of the band and guests that have appeared at Croppery festivals. Nice one. Now, one of the major things with these box sets by Free Read is the extensive booklet that you get with it. 170 pages? Yeah, 170 pages, this one. You could buy them separately if you wanted, but these booklets are incredible, with essays, details of every track on all the various CDs, lineups. There's enough reading material in these booklets to last you probably a couple of months. Absolutely sensational. Now on to the actual CDs themselves. This is a 4 CD set, and each CD is, excuse the glare, arranged thematically. CD 1 is Fairport, A History, as it says, from Golders Green to Croppery, from their earliest demo to their latest album, on stages in 4 continents, on radio, on TV and in the studio, through seemingly endless changes of lineup. Here, condensed into 22 tracks, is the 35-year story of Fairport Convention so far. So this includes radio sessions from 1967, alternative versions of like Nottingham Town from 1968. You get a BBC session version of Tamlin, through to tracks from Cropredy in 1999. Wonderful stuff. Now, the thing to be said about these and why they're particularly just for the rabid followers, that given that the fact it's made up of demos and live tracks, the sound quality can vary from track to track. Though it's never bad, it's wonderfully mastered, but you're not going to get pristine studio tracks all the way through here. Second disc is Fairport Convention, and this is rare material, 19 tracks of the most arcane, esoteric, inaccessible, obscure and unusual. Here are earliest recordings, lineups who never released a track, a very strange Australian single, forays into Dylan tapes, Richard letting rip on French TV, Ashley putting down a Dutch audience, and the very unusual presence of Frank Sinatra in at the very birth of rock and roll. That's CD 2. Yeah, you get versions of like The Lady's a Tramp from Top Gear in 1969 and The Accountancy Shanty for Live in Hull 1989. Excellent. CD 3 is Fairport Convention, and this is plenty of very obscure live tracks over the years, from a Legion, you start with a Legion Leaf rehearsal tape from 1969 of Sir Patrick Spens. You get radio sessions of things like Fotheringay Gay from 1969. Outtakes from Babacom Lee documentary in 1973. So, and disc 4 is Classic Convention. Now, this is some of the songs in Fairport's repertoire that stand head and shoulders above the rest. They are the great survivors in their repertoire, songs which have, like the band, refused to lie down. So you get Walk a While, Hexhamshire Lass, Poor Will and the Jolly Hangman, Crazy Man Michael, all taken from various periods live. You get a Fairport rehearsal tape from 69 of Farewell, Farewell. It ends with Meet the Ledge, obviously, which is their anthem from BBC Radio in 1968. But just prior to that, you get a specially compiled multi-version version of Matty Groves, where it's taken from loads of different live versions put together in a great manner. And that's where the Matty Groves crime report that you'll have heard at the start of this video comes from, and you'll hear the conclusion at the end of the video. Now, one thing that the Free Read did with these box sets is that if you bought them directly from them early on, you got a 5th CD, and this came in just a cardboard slipcase, and it's Cropredy, the best and the guests. So this is obviously, as it says, tracks from the Cropredy festivals with various guests appearing with Fairport. So you get people like Christina Olsen, Richard Thompson, Alan Franks, Gary Brooker, Vicky Clayton, Ralph McTell, Andy Fairweather Lowe, Maddie Pryor, and Robert Plant. So that was the 5th and final CD. The next box set came out 2 years later in 2004 from Free Read and is Cropredy Capers, which was to celebrate 25 years of the Cropredy Festival. The Cropredy Festival is an annual festival run by Fairport Convention. It's become legendary, not just for the band's performances with all the different guests and the different lineups of the band, but also for the guests that appear at the festival. This is another 4 CD set. And if we have a look what's in here, as before, we have the superb booklet, 136 pages this time. Try and show you again details of every festival, the lineups, the tracks listing. Brilliant stuff. What you also get with this set, now try and see if I can show this properly, is you get a cardboard build your own festival site kit. Sorry, I'm trying to get this, which features various cut-out pieces of the festival site that you can build up. Obviously, I've not actually built this up. I don't want to ruin this. Cut it out. That's brilliant. I wonder how many people actually followed the instructions and built the festival. You can see there what it should look like when built up. We then have Walk a While, A Wander Through the Streets of Cropredy by Nigel Schofield. So this takes you through the history and all the various locations in the village of Cropredy where the festival takes place. Like before, the 4 CDs in this set are themed, and you get the first one, which is titled Farewell, Farewell, and features 25 years of Fairport Convention and Friends at Cropredy Festival. You get tracks like Woodstock with Ian Matthews from 1986, $1 Million Bash with Ashley Hutchins and Mark Ellington. That's a compilation, again, like the Matty Groves one from various years. You get Mason's Apron with a Full House lineup, Tried So Hard with Ian Matthews and Ashley Hutchins, Ringing Down the Years with Dave Cousins and Rabbit Bundrick, and finishes off with another Ian Matthews one, doing Who Knows Where the Time Goes from 1986. CD 2 is titled Blow Again, and this is a Fairport Convention covers album. So we begin with a pick of the trad art songs which represent the genre that Fairport invented and in which they continue to lead the field. But Where would Copperedy be without its surprise guests? With the emphasis on folk rock, the CD concludes with a stunning selection of one-off special appearances and songs you would not expect to hear Fairport play. So it starts off, as it says, with some of the major traditional songs they did, like Tamlin, Polly on the Shore, Hexhamshire Lass. But then you get into things like Day Trip to Bangor with Cathy LeSurf, Swimming Song with Loudon Wainwright III, Deepest in Darkest Night with Maddie Pryor and Jackie McShave from 1999, Ramble On with Robert Plant, Come Up and See Me with Steve Harley, and Lay Down with Dave Cousins, among other things. CD 3 is titled The Winding Road, Fairport Roots and Branches. And this one states, Life Beyond Fairport, from the band that survived its own demise, a selection of songs that highlight the solo careers of its many members. Some, of course, were blown off the mountain in the wind, and they too are remembered in this unique collection of previously unavailable Cropperdy recordings. So you get Vicky Clayton doing an a cappella version of Rising for the Moon. You get Richard Thompson doing I Want to See the Bright Lights Tonight. Dave Swarbrick and Friends doing Miss Stevenson's Turnabout. Simon Nicol doing a song, Rosemary's Sister. Whippersnapper doing John Gowdy. Julianne Regan doing After Halloween. You get the Dylan Project performing Highway 61 Revisited. And Trevor Lucas doing 6 Days on the Road. And the final CD, CD 4, is Bruised and Beaten Songs, a Cropperdy Top 12. Now this was a CD where they brought together the top 12 most played songs at Cropperdy in their most remarkable versions. So you get Rosie, Crazy Man Michael, John Barleycorn, that's one with Ian Anderson, Sloth, The Hiring Fair, Royal Selection number 13, Lark in the Morning, Who Knows Where the Time Goes with Chris Wilde doing Sandy part, Walk a While, Dirty Linen, Meet on the Ledge, and finishes off with a rehearsal of Matty Gross from 1991. So that's CD box 2. I don't think for this one that they did a free CD like they did with the other box set. But brilliant stuff. The next box set was released in 2007 by Ireland, and this is Live at the BBC, a 4 CD set. Comes with, excuse me, a booklet detailing the history of Fairport at the BBC and the tracks that are played. This covers the period from 1967 through to 1974. So you get a lot of early stuff when they were performing more American singer-songwriter type material. They've got versions of Leonard Cohen's Suzanne, Richard Farinia's Reno, Nevada, Gene Clark's Tried So Hard, Dylan's Percy's Song, Johnny Cash's I Still Miss Someone, and Joni Mitchell's I Don't Know Where I Stand. But as you move through the 4 discs, you get obviously it moves from that early period to when they were producing more, had gone into the electric folk styling and doing traditional material. The first 3 CDs are the best, but the 4th CD is basically taken from off-air recording, so the quality dips a bit on there, but they're still really enjoyable, and they feature quite a number of tracks from the first lineup when Judy Dybel was the lead singer. So another box set well worth having. And the 4th and final one devoted to the band itself is the most recent release, and that's It All Came Around Again, on stage and on air, 1982 to 90. This was released by Madfish label, who do excellent box sets, and this came out last year, I think, 2024. And as it states on the hype sticker, this is an 11 CD plus a DVD set, over 160 tracks, including 57 previously unreleased recordings, 100 plus minutes of BBC performances, plus 3 bonus sessions from 1972 to 76, and is curated by Colin Harper. Have a look. That's what it looks like in a nice book format. You get the first 4 discs. Oh, you get a cover of a Copredy souvenir program signed by the band. You get a superb 60-page booklet. Sorry, this is awkward to show. Detailing the period and the tracks that are on here. Wonderful stuff. And then you get, there you go, that way, the remainder of the discs plus the DVD. So the early CDs in this set were originally released on a series of cassettes called, first one was AT2, the letter A, the letter T, and the number 2. There was one called The Boot, The Other Boot, and The Third Leg. These were live recordings of the Cropredy festivals of those years, 83, 84, 87 and 88, I think, were the years. I bought them initially, I think at least 3 of these on cassette when they first came out. They were later redone on CD, and I bought those again. And now they all appear on this 11 CD set. But they sound even better on here. You also get a CD of Live on the BBC, 1984 to 85, all tracks previously unreleased. Live at Cropredy Festival, 11/8/84, and Birmingham University, 7/12/85. You get Disc 9 is Live on the BBC from 1987. CD 10 is Live on the BBC, 89 to 90. And CD 11 is In Session at the BBC, 88 to 89. The DVD features Live at the BBC, 82 to 85, including rare live performances on 6:55, Pebble Mill at 1, Summer Festivals and London Plus. And you also get some extras from 72 to 83, including an unreleased excerpt from Ugly Whistle Test in 1973 and A World of Music from 1976, which had previously only been released in audio form. So a wonderful set of the later period Fairport.
Lord Donald was last seen proceeding in a northerly direction towards the village of Crupperty. We're asking the public not to approach as he may be dangerous. This is a matter we're giving the highest priority.
As the village of Liege under Leith struggles to come to terms with the events of recent days, social services are recommending that local people attend the Crupperty Festival and treat the trauma with good strong ale and folk music. Whether Lord Donald is apprehended or not, one thing is clear. Fairport Convention will almost certainly be supplying the sound.